All right, interesting series here in Group B in Titans League. So remember, we've been trying to fit in all the sets in as best order as we can, but with, you know, some people having jobs, some people having schools, some people doing this and that, and sicknesses, moving. We've had a lot of different factors. We're trying to keep this as good for the players as possible. Excuse me, I'm dying. You know, the order hasn't always been there. So we have DracKeN. He comes into this after having already played 3 rounds, and he has 3 wins. And DracKeN, there's a consistent theme. He has 1 win from every single series he's played, and that's pretty crazy because he's already played Yo, got a win there. Already played Leary and got a win there. And I think perhaps the disappointing one for him was when he played Dark, the other player that was promoted up to this league. And he actually only got 1 win there as well. That was a really good opportunity for him, perhaps, to get like 2 or 3. And the goal for him, again, probably stay alive here in Platinum. MbL, he played 1 round. So this is round number 2 for him. So there's a 2-round difference between these two. MbL's actually tied with the amount of wins because he played 1 round and he won 3-0, which was up against Dark. And so I'll be excited to see MbL here. MbL won his group in the first season of Titans League, which many people didn't really expect. It was a group that I think had Dogao, Tato, ACCM, and a couple other killers. I think Nikov as well. Yeah. Definitely Nikov. I seem to be forgetting who the other one was. Maybe it was Bad Boy, actually. So, long story short, MbL, you know, undefeated so far. Kind of exactly what happened with him in the first season. He's playing as the Byzantines here on Shoals. And Shoals has been such a refreshing addition to the map pool. I don't know if anyone else agrees. Feel free to disagree, by the way. We don't have to have the same opinions on everything. But I wasn't entirely sure what this map was going to be like in an RM start. We didn't do a lot of testing on it. I did have conversations with T-West to tweak certain aspects. Because I could look at it and say, okay, well, this was clearly designed for Empire Wars, but like this aspect and that aspect needs to be tweaked. We need to change this. And so we did that, but it was still at the end of the day fairly minimal. And it's brought pretty much exactly what I would have wanted. We've had variety of strategy, like Fast Castle, for example, has been becoming more and more common. We've had various civs match up on this map and dominate too, so we have the Italians for DracKeN, which has been very highly regarded as one of the best civilizations in this map. And then Byzantines for MbL. I mean, I think it might actually be only the second time I've seen Byzantines. But if you think of the Byzantine strengths, you know, they're pretty good off of 1 or 2 docks. They have the faster working fires. And then Byzantines transition into land pretty well, which is what you want to do eventually on this map. So water is important. You know, you're going to want to fish in the early stages. But, you know, some people put more importance on the water than others. And I think the growing conversation, or at least the growing strategy in which players are having success with is not really like double dock galleys. It feels like double dock galleys and then you stop at 6 galleys instead of like going up to 12. Or even, like I had mentioned before, some type of fast castle play. But yeah, so I was trying to do the math on it. So DracKeN, if he were to get 1 win here, and 1 win in his final round, which would be against Backed, he would have 5 wins. I think Backed right now after 2 rounds has 1 win. And then Dark after 3 rounds has 2 wins. So, like, you know, DracKeN having 5 wins would be doable for him to stay up, and which would be 4th place. But there is a very good possibility that if Dark and Backed get some decent results, they at the very least would tie. And then it would go to tiebreak. And I actually, JBR, I don't know if you're listening right now. JBR would have to pull out our rule book. But then you're having a conversation of what the tiebreaker is. And tiebreaker, there's various tiebreakers, but it's just some matter. Some are factored in earlier than others. But, like, you could have, like, sets 1 and then head-to-head. And I believe it's sets 1, which would obviously then be a concern for DracKeN. So can you check that for me, JBR? Because I kind of want to just think about this and talk about this. Because remember, Dark already beat DracKeN in the series. So in my what I'm talking about is MbL sending villagers forward here. It's going to be really unique. He also saw the villagers going to gold. So he wants to forward and pressure that gold. But yeah, in the scenario that I've just brought up, which, again, may or may not happen, I think Dark could, if he were to get 5 wins somehow and tie DracKeN, sets 1 would be the tiebreaker, and then DracKeN would actually be relegated. So yeah, just things to think about. I don't know. Obviously, DracKeN, like, you want to get as many wins as possible. Same with Dark. But I just find DracKeN's situation very interesting because getting 1 win from every single series in a group like this is pretty crazy. It looked like MbL wanted to sneak archer ranges back here, guys. Like, that seemed to be the direction he was going. He already had the barracks. And now he sees walls. And he's going to go for the archer range there. I'm not sure DracKeN necessarily noticed something here. But this seems to be a fast castle play from DracKeN. Remember, MbL had gone fast castle when he had played with the Mongols, I believe it was. And that was his only series in Titans League so far against DracKeN. Against Dark, excuse me. And I loved it. I got excited about it. And then since then, a lot of other players have done it. And so I think this is some recognition from MbL that his opponent's going to try something like this. And that's why he doesn't want to, like, full commit to water and do nothing else. Look at him. Sending Spearman actually through the middle. He's dropped a tower right now. And for DracKeN, he doesn't actually see his other 2-tile gold. And I bet you he's looking for that right now. He's probably like, wait a second. I'm missing a gold. Is my map bugged? And his map is not bugged. But he will leave that gold, and he will find this gold now as he goes for the market and blacksmith. So he chooses not to even try and fight MbL here. And meanwhile, fishing ship's still working for DracKeN. I mean, he's got 5 of them. MbL didn't even make a fire galley, which is surprising to me. He didn't even go to gold, actually. So again, variety of strategy is why I get excited about this map. And there's some variety here. Okay, so the first thing that matters is games won. Second thing that matters is sets won. Third thing that matters is head-to-head. Okay, so it was as I had expected. So just to tie up this conversation with the scenario that I had brought up then, it would be really interesting. Like, if DracKeN does get 2 more wins from the next 2 rounds, however they come, really interesting to see what Dark and Backed do. Okay, so DracKeN's had to give up a lot here. He's given up on his gold. He's now has a quick wall to stop MbL's pressure from getting through here. But he's also off of berries. So it feels like every other time I've seen this type of fast castle, the player hasn't had, like, lost access to their gold and lost access to their berries. And then just been in such a weird spot when they make it to the next stage. Because what they're able to do, most cases, is they add a stable and they make a knight or 2 and it clears up any pressure that would come in. A lot of the time, that's archers. DracKeN is actually choosing to go here for gold. That's fascinating. MbL won't be able to break through here. But stressful times here for DracKeN. Again, MbL just now making a fire galley. I like this from him, though. He decided to make a mill on some extra hunt. MbL's economy is actually looking really nice. It's just the fact that he hasn't clicked up to Castle Age yet. But at this point, all the fish that were close to the dock are kind of gone, so you might have some more success with the fires. You know, then again, DracKeN also thinking with the cheaper dock techs with Italians that maybe he doesn't want to give up on water either. And there's a stable, and like, this uptime is insane from DracKeN. He's got a 1450 Castle Age. He hasn't lost any fishing ships. He hasn't lost any units. He could send 1 or 2 knights to MbL's base, and that could potentially be an issue for MbL. I mean, MbL can always make cheap spearmen. But a lot of those spearmen seem to be forward at the moment with the villagers and with the skirmishers. And MbL's just going to drop an outpost there. DracKeN might actually freak out about that. And DracKeN's just going to drop a TC here. So look, the fishing economy has just freely been working for DracKeN. And MbL, he might still think about water, but he's going to have knights coming towards his base soon. And MbL will have no vision on that. For now, he's just going to head over here, mine some of that stone, and wait for Castle Age himself. He finds himself 2 minutes away. Yet again, very impressed with how DracKeN has played. Especially first game of the series. Like, first game of the series, you'd expect there to be a little bit more worry. And I don't think there should be, based on results, tons of confidence against a player like MbL. But maybe that's it. Maybe it's just like, you figure you're supposed to die here, right? You are not as experienced as MbL. this map pull is better for MbL. So just give it your best. And there was certainly an opportunity there for DracKeN. But his knights had no upgrades, and MbL kind of almost has these knights trapped at the moment. He adds more spearmen, MbL's favorite. Knight does break through here, so that could be a villager killed there by DracKeN. And no way! MbL actually saves all the villagers. Both of those villagers just one more hit away from going down. And this knight here actually so close to going down and survives for the time being to head back over here maybe towards a monastery or something. But yeah. So the two knights actually end up going down there for DracKeN. It's a 2-to-1 KD. Over here, MbL is just happily taking some stone. And DracKEN's scouting around the map right now. And he sees this. And he sees the villagers weak. Let's see if he gets a villager here. Would be kind of funny if he kills a villager with the scout, but couldn't kill a villager with two knights. MbL not paying attention. I think he's noticed now. Nice job from DracKeN. But so he's killed a fishing ship. Apparently he just killed a fishing ship. And he's killed a villager now. And he's got 2 TCs. Sam, thank you. He says, been too busy to watch live lately. Saving all the TTL VODs for later. Have a good stream. Hey, thank you, thank you. Good luck with work or whatever. This MbL outpost would have me so paranoid, man. This would bother me so much that MbL has all this vision. But yeah, it's kind of just like water and defense and booming for MbL. That seems to be his decision. And by no means a bad decision here, as he'll want to take the game late. When you have like full vision on the right side, it also makes it very easy for you to shift over to the left side, because you just know your opponent's got to be over there. And I think that's underrated. Whereas for DracKeN, you maybe have a little bit more guessing. Obviously, you don't know if MbL has any army that's going to come in on the right, so you might build up some level of defense there. It is rather interesting that DracKeN hasn't actually finished his blacksmith, and he actually made one over here. So that's just like an extra blacksmith, and it's been up. The original one's been there for a while. Also, MbL must not know that the sea tower has murder holes until just now. He just learned the sea tower has murder holes. Unless he's thinking DracKeN researched it. Which he hasn't, obviously. Don't use your demo on the tower there, MbL. There you go. Sea tower's pretty strong. Gives DracKeN an opportunity to come back on water. But DracKeN's focusing on land. 3 TC booming. He's got 55 villagers. Only 40 seconds of TC idle time here. It's so impressive. And again, you know, MbL isn't exactly building up some type of push for this area. Some siege would make a lot of sense there. Not doing it. Took out the siege tower, but DracKeN also made a couple fire galleys and was annoying enough here where he killed some of MbL's weak fire galleys that were going after that tower. MbL's just got a demo waiting over there. We see a market now so he can balance out his economy. Look at the upgrades, guys. DracKeN has transitioned to land so much better here. He's got more eco upgrades. Both players missing Castle Age eco upgrades in general, but 63 villagers versus 45. We see a siege workshop. DracKeN's going to grab relic number 1. That helps with gold income. MbL's waltzed forward with these villagers. He now sees the siege workshop from DracKeN. So I think that there's going to be a bit of a siege battle over here. And MbL's scout, guys. His scout's just been sitting here, which feels like we should discuss a little bit more, right? Like, I think if he would have had vision on this earlier, he would have maybe thought to pressure it earlier. And it's not like necessarily bad timing on the pressure. I think the concern for him is just he's going to have about as much as DracKeN in theory in this type of push. Now, stone count also is a really important talking point right now, as DracKeN's going to want a castle here. MbL might want a castle here as well. MbL's had a lot of army. Hasn't done a lot with it, but he is going to send villagers now to the right side. And I really like this for MbL. Again, you have vision on the right side. It becomes very awkward for DracKeN to send anything over here at the moment. But DracKeN saw the siege from MbL, and he's an arena player, right? So he knows his monks, and he doesn't hesitate at all to just click redemption here. Actually has a monk in that monastery between the relics, which is kind of funny. But that's kind of an important deal here. Like, you want all the monks that you can. He just popped them out. Never mind. Sees MbL's Mangonel. MbL maybe didn't know the TC was there. And MbL's going to add his own monks here. MbL's really good with monks, but that was just a mistake from MbL to waltz into that TC fire, and that scout's going to do more than enough there. DracKeN had some idle time there with those villagers. That's not something that'll excite him too much, but playing into monks, I think that's something he's going to absolutely love here. And I hear conversions. It was just conversions on the spearmen. MbL just now going to complete that TC on that gold. So he doesn't really have a lot of gold income at the moment, MbL. And there's the scout again. Scout's getting hits on the monks, and DracKeN playing so good, but MbL blocking. Well done there, MbL. Even heals up his next monk. The thing is, though, Redemption's already in, so like, MbL's Siege is not going to have much of a chance here to do anything, and the Ram's looking a little awkward. Now, there is no Sanctity yet for these monks, so they would get one-shotted by Mangonel, but MbL realized his Redemption's in. He didn't get the kill with the hit, and he's just kind of losing full control here, as he could lose the Siege Workshop here in a second. His own monk is just standing right next to all this, too. DracKeN just killed his own monk. But, I mean, just not a healthy situation for MbL to be in, as he just drops stables and some type of defense for this. But DracKeN, guys, I told you this guy can play. If he gets the castle down here, he'll fully secure this side. And then he can make Genoese crossbowmen, which means that MbL's scout timing is super important here. Also, classic thing here for MbL, he does get housed. So he had this stables queued up, but he's not actually producing. His TCs also were queued up, but not producing because he got popcapped. And MbL knows how to make it messy, guys. But is he going to be able to stay alive? Feels like a push over on this side to distract DracKeN is so important now, because that castle will absolutely go up. Also, converting MbL's house, always a good play. Always a good thing. Never can really say that's an issue. But yeah, this is a very MbL thing, and this is the last thing that DracKeN wants right now. DracKeN wants to push that side, and he wants that to be his only focus. Even if he has the army to deal with this, and he has not reacted at all just yet, you can tell where DracKeN's focus is. This is really sloppy for DracKeN. MbL is starting to feel more and more hope, I imagine. DracKeN, you've got to realize that, man. But yeah, like, even if DracKeN has the tools to deal with this, it still takes away from whatever he's pushing with here. And the Vill count's starting to even out a little bit more. DracKeN continues to lose villagers to this Mangonel. I think he's sending the monks home to deal with this. So I think he knows. But what's happening is his farmers are finishing other farms, and they will always go back. And they will always, like, if your farmer finishes a farm and there's other farms that are vacant, they will always go to the vacant farm. MbL will drop his own castle here. It will be double castle from DracKeN, though. And if DracKeN can get the resources, he will absolutely tread MbL's down. I know it's a Byzantine castle. MbL's going to have to avoid those castles and do damage elsewhere. And here he goes. Here he's going to try. Light cav spam will come from the right side. Keep in mind, he's adding more TCs. So MbL, can he cockroach it out? That's what we say about him. That's the nickname that I gave him that he may or may not be too famous about, is the cockroach, or too excited about, the cockroach of AoE. But he's really good when he falls behind of just making it messy. And here he's got a light cav going for a monk that was going to convert the Mangonel. MbL actually loses the light cav. Frustrating. We have a condo here, actually, from DracKeN. Very useful tool here. You can make them immediately upon the Imperial Age for the Italians. It's one of their unique units, and he will put an end to that siege push for now. The light cav here will still be super annoying, though. Like, this whole eco area is really exposed, and DracKeN knows it. But the main thing here, if you're DracKeN, is you have to continue pushing. You have to continue making trebs. You have to make MbL pay. Great job. Those condos were huge. And DracKeN's even going to drop a castle in the back of his eco now because he's so unhappy about this whole situation. I think, like, 5 or 6 condos can deal with this, but it's not unlikely that he'll lose about 5 to 10 villagers before he deals with it. And it's just, again, a lot of focus and messiness that he has to put into that. And MbL has 33 on food. MbL is producing out a lot of TCs, and DracKeN is not really saving the villagers all that well here. It seems like he sent the army there, he dropped the castle, but he didn't really pull the vills. And so it's going to be even more than I'd expected. Like, MbL's splitting up the light cav in different areas as well. But MbL is going to lose his castle. This is a crazy game. And you know where that next castle should go if you're DracKeN? Right here, right? You have to continue that push. As MbL's on what? TC number 6 and 7 now? This is a ridiculous game, guys. But again, DracKeN's in the position to push still. He's still in the Imperial Age. He's still only behind by 5 or 6 villagers. He's getting upgrades for his monks. He's adding Genoese crossbowmen because he knows Lightcav can come out, and he's doing precisely what he said he should do. He's just continuing to push. And will MbL even complete the wheelbarrow upgrade here? That's kind of important with 118 vills. Doubt wheelbarrow. No, he will not. Also, stables could get converted. DracKeN getting ballistics now. Needs to get more ranged unit upgrades. Needs to get Bodkin Arrow. MbL's just going to start losing all these buildings. He could lose this TC as well. And yeah, he's adding more town centers. But think of all the villagers that have to relocate. There's like 30, 40 villagers on our screen here. And those villagers won't be able to work too well. MbL, a god with monks himself, though. And he's actually going to convert some of the Genoese here. So that helps. But I think what's important is that he still somehow has some type of threat against DracKeN on this side. And I'm not really seeing that right now. MbL is on the way to the Imperial Age with one of these TCs on that right side. If you're DracKeN, maybe, you know, that is your focus now. And DracKeN, for the love of God, do not lose this castle found. Oh, no. Oh, no. You're so fortunate that that ram wasn't one more tile to the left there. He's so fortunate because he would have lost it. The ram would have automatically rammed there. He continues his push over here. That's where his focus is, right? But he knows he needs to shift back over to that side, which is why he's trying to drop a castle like this. Okay, fire ship's going to go down. He sees it. Okay, he drops the castle. That's safer. What does MbL do here, right? I think MbL should be considering something like Skirmisher. But again, he won't really be able to easily pressure the right side. Now, for DracKeN, again, a lot of this is easier said than done. You need to make sure that you are in a position to counter whatever's coming next. So you kind of have to gauge it by feel. He will have the game sense to know, I've got castles, I'm making Genoese crossbowmen. MbL will likely go for, like, skirmishers. So I need to have, you know, more food, let's say, to be able to deal with skirmishers. Or sometimes the arena guys will just add bombard cannons. All of that's still really strong here. The conversation about DracKeN was 1 win. If he gets 2 wins, be epic for him. Again, of all the promoted players, I think I've been fanboying over DracKeN maybe the most. He's truly been incredible. And I think, again, he just surpasses people's expectations. You know, people see the CL in front of his name, know the fact that he loves arena, and they just don't really put as much, you know, weight to his name. And possibly you should do that with him. He takes out he's going to take out another TC from MbL, but now he sees another castle. As MbL is building up skirms, by the way. And he's got 2 castles here in this position. 166 population versus 176 population. DracKeN is getting that food eco rolling now. He's going to have over 50 on food soon. He's still adding more and more trebs. No bomber cannons, interestingly enough. But I think a light cav switch here would be really good. Or you could just make more condos. He's got 23 condos on the field. The thing about condos, though, is they don't have a ton of pierce armor. It's just they have really good stats for a unit you don't really have to research and upgrade to get access to. That's not actually 100% correct. Obviously, you do need to get to Imp, but it's not like, you know, Cavalier. Oh, then I have to wait for that upgrade, wait to spend those resources. MbL's under so much pressure right now, he doesn't even have the Elite Skirm upgrade. Now, we actually have more and more Navy here from DracKeN. He wants to maybe use the Navy to range some of this, like cannon galleons, fast fires could be good. And MbL falling apart. His population still says he's in it, but he's overbooming, guys. 150 villagers for MbL. And this is the overboom that happens when you're under this much pressure. That said, I mean, DracKeN also has tons of eco, but in his case, he's way ahead. He's got like 60% of the map, so an overboom when you're ahead is actually completely fine. Because at the very least, you just want to hold your position, and you're going to have more resources to work with then in the long run. Condos seem to be doing a good enough job just to allow DracKeN to take this castle out. He's got 6 trebuchets. Usually you see people go with 4. But against Byzantines, you're probably going to want more, right? And he's melting these Byzantine castles. We now have the Pavise upgrade, which helps the archer line. And the condos. I actually learned that this year. And the condos for the Italians. So let's not forget that. Adds a little bit of extra armor. And it does seem to be condo more than anything. Especially because the Byzantine guy doesn't have a lot of castles to make cataphracts. Though MbL is still producing them, and he still has a few of them. And I think MbL could end up taking out these Trebs. It is MbL, guys. MbL's got more army on land. And I think you could actually argue that he has the better army on land right now. And he maybe feels the same as he just drops another castle here. MbL's still got access to gold. DracKeN, though, has got 4 relics, and DracKeN's going to have water pressure. And even just having the ability to bring in Trebs here to take out these TCs is going to be so valuable here. DracKeN is using the Trebs against the skirms. I assume that was intentional. MbL sees some monks, realizes this is a good opportunity for him. I'm sure DracKeN's working on a couple other things. You see Treadmill Crane coming in. Forging, you don't see Treadmill Crane prioritized too frequently. But that helps you build faster. And yeah, we do have Trebs over here from DracKeN on this castle that might even be denied by the Galleons. We've got a castle from DracKeN. That's where his focus is. And the cataphracts, are they good enough against the condos? They're certainly sick, dude. In fact, I think what's going to happen here is MbL would end up winning this fight if it continued long enough. But all DracKeN wants is to take out the castle. It's a good enough fight for DracKeN where these Trebs are still left untouched for long enough. The condos will die. And again, DracKeN's got more and more spam. I mean, impressive from him. He's got all these barracks over here. But what is this going to be, like the 4th or 5th castle that MbL's lost? Maybe this is the 4th, and then the other one that's about to go down on the other side is the 5th. Yeah, just back up with your Trebs if you can, DracKeN. Save those things for later. It's not like even losing them is that bad of a loss for him, because he has all the gold. Yeah, this needs to be his side now. Like, this needs to be the area that he pushes to win this game. MbL's wide open, and I think MbL's staring at his screen right now in disbelief. Like, are you kidding me, man? Like, DracKeN, the guy who bans Arabia, the guy who came up from gold? Like, how? I mean, what is this? What is this build? What is this play? MbL's not going away quietly, though. And I think, again, it's important to note that even though MbL doesn't have a ton of the map, he has gold, wood, and food. He has everything he needs. He's getting Greek fire, which is an amazing upgrade for the fire ships for the Byzantines. And he very much wants to come back onto water here. The problem, I'd say, is DracKeN still just continues to stack castle after castle after castle to back up this push. And it's just going to allow DracKeN to just take so much map control. And MbL still doesn't have a way to push back either side. It's like, sure, he might come back on water, but now there's a castle next to the shoreline. Sure, he might have stopped those Trebs from moving forward, but now he's got army moving into his base on the other side. I like the switch from DracKeN here. I was wondering if he was going to go for light cav. A lot of pros will do that. But he's got so much gold. Why not just go for Cavalier? And it's scary against Byzantines, because the Byzantines can always get access to the cheap halbs, but you've got MbL at the limit now. You need one flood, and MbL's probably dead, and it just has to be the right type of unit. And I'm not sure condos is necessarily it anymore. This is interesting, by the way. MbL using the blacksmith that's currently being attacked to research. You don't know this as a player, and obviously he always wants to push. So anytime he sees an army, he's always going to go attack that army. But he actually denies that upgrade for MbL. And speaking of upgrades, upgrades still flying in for DracKeN. Stables are probably somewhere. Yep, they're going up on the left side, actually. And Treadmill Crane's actually really helped him here. He's building these buildings a lot faster. But as we said, right, like MbL can come in with these fast fire ships with Byzantines and do really, really well. But look at the right side of his base. The right side of his base is still a massive problem. How does MbL have 180 population with 1/8 of the map right now? That's actually insane. He doesn't want to call it. He has faith in his ability to go on for a long time. Obviously, every single game matters. And while MbL was 3-0 in his first round. He is DracKeN, and then he has Backed, Leary, and Yo. Opening strong. That's good for the confidence, but seems like the opponents that MbL is going to have only going to get more and more difficult as things progress here in Titans League, because we have another castle now from DracKeN. Dude, that's castle number, I'm trying to count right now, 9. There's a lot more stone on this map than I realize. But, you know, even if MbL keeps his TC up, DracKeN's castle still goes up, and he's just starting that spam. He's got tons of Cavalier in queue. And I think this is going to be the final fight. I do not think MbL has an answer to Cavalier. He doesn't have the time to go into the cheap halbs. And he's just got so many skirms in the mix, only 13 arbs. Italians, you never really get too excited about them with Cavalier just because they're maxed out at that. But they still get fully upgraded Cavalier. So yeah, they don't have any specific bonuses for it, but that does not matter here. And I think DracKeN knows it, which is why he's fighting so confidently. He's even taking the golds here. What a crazy performance from DracKeN, dude. The fast castle play works. MbL knew it was coming, so he tried to forward. But DracKeN just made it look so easy. He was so comfortable under pressure early. He just moved over to the other gold and said, this is no problem for me. Ridiculous performance. And yep, now MbL's pop is dropping. Now he'll look and realize, you know, when he's at 130 pop, that he's going to have to call the GG. And DracKeN's going to start this series off with a bang, dude. So, where are the people that said 3-0 for MbL? I was actually one of them. I was like, oh, you just can't disagree with the 3-0 prediction for MbL. But certainly now, like, the sky's the limit for DracKeN because he still has his home map waiting. MbL might be a little frustrated. MbL calls the GG. DracKeN wins that game. That was incredible, man. Just incredible. Now, I think that MbL knew what was coming from the Italians. I'd said in week 1 or 2, I think it was more so week 1, tail end of it, that I think the fast castle with the Italians and Mongols is going to become more meta. And MbL going forward tells me that he was wondering what he could do against it, because what other people are normally doing is they go for water and then they don't harass the Italian player at all, and then the Italian player just like comes back on water later but has a pretty good boom because they're unharassed on land. I mean, DracKeN had a lot of idle time in the early stages, but he didn't lose anything. So I think maybe, you know, for MbL, I think there's two things that maybe you could have done a little bit different here. The first thing is, I think maybe he could actually have made some things on water, right? He didn't go to gold at all. And DracKeN was fishing far out here for a long time when DracKeN was worried about the other things. So I think like 2 fire galleys from MbL, and he actually could get away with killing some of DracKeN's fish, which I think would have added up. But the other thing is, I think you have to make something more than just skirms and spearmen. Like, skirms and spearmen don't kill villagers. And at the very least, if your base is here, I know it feels like a long time ago now, so let's just go back. At the very least, I think if your base is here, and you're pressuring this side, and you take someone off of gold, you need to have vision here, right? Like, DracKeN moved out here with a mining camp before the TC. MbL had the ability to add some spearmen, add an outpost here so he has vision. And if he uses the feudal age pressure to stop DracKeN from getting this TC up, I think this could become a very different game. Because DracKeN, I thought he was just going to take this gold, but he boldly just took this gold like it was no problem. So I think MbL allowing that was maybe what allowed DracKeN to do what he did. But still, I mean, I don't really want to say there are any massive mistakes from MbL this game. I just think DracKeN just out-boomed him like crazy, man. I'm actually excited to see the total villager count, though. It's going to be crazy high for MbL. MbL, 17,000 resources behind that game. About 10,000 gold, but watch this. Okay, there's not as big a difference as I thought it was going to be. So the villager max for MbL was 159. I was expecting, because he had so many TCs and he had to relocate, that his total villager count throughout that game was going to be like 250. But he actually had fewer total eco units in that entire game compared to DracKeN. And what more can I say? DracKeN opens up the group with a bang. Titans League continues to deliver. The promoted players showing exactly what they're made of. And we'll go on to MbL's home map next, which will be Kilimanjaro. All right, so here we are, game 2 in this series. Now, again, things to get excited about for DracKeN. I talked about this before, but either some people here on the live stream, they weren't there to hear me say it, or, of course, people later on YouTube didn't hear me say it either. In regards to DracKeN's draft, and I'm just going to tab out to show it for a second because this is so important. He drafted heavy for the map that would be the worst chance for him, which is very uncommon. Chinese was his very first pick. You see that there? Italians was the second pick, and then his arena civs are going to be, you know, the final picks then. But arena is his best map. A lot of people try and draft for their best map, but he actually drafted for his worst map, which is possibly an underrated play. So anyways, he's gone Chinese, and there's been some pretty crazy builds with the Chinese. I think one of the weaknesses that the Chinese tends to have on open maps is the fact that it's awkward for them in early feudal. They start with 0 food in the bank, despite the fact that they start with more villagers. And what I've learned is, and I've seen it multiple times now, that Chinese are actually less vulnerable on this map if they take the shorefish as opposed to the berries. Now, all builds can be faster, and all players have been making a mill on the shorefish because shorefish income is faster than the berries. But I think it's like so important that the Chinese can get up a little bit faster here. And MbL's gone for the Mayans, which should be said. I mean, players are pretty far apart on this map. It's a little slow, but his stone and gold position is epic. Right there on the edge of the map, he could always wall. For DracKeN, you know, I think what's nice for him is his wood situation's better. So if he utilizes the back wood, he could have an easier time with things. This is a little awkward. He's got a loop-de-loop under the TC, finish off the elephant. There you go. But yeah, the gold's maybe not quite as accessible. No, we are not going to see docks. The only player I've seen docking this has been Samaro in Gold League, and he has lost every time he's tried it. Maybe it's worth it if there's more than just 2 shorefish in one single pond. And I'm not going to say I don't admire the attempt, because it's pretty wild. But that's just a low-confidence play from Samaro. Whereas DracKeN, I mean, he got promoted up out of gold, and this guy seems to have tons of confidence. And picking the civ that everyone's been preferring on standard land maps for years and years and years, and out here to play it. I also believe he must have heavily practiced the Chinese, because he played Chinese against Yo. He played Chinese against Leary. I remember he almost beat Leary on Arabia, too. I'm really happy, as I'm sure you guys can tell, that the promoted players have been doing so well. I mean, some of them still really need to pick it up. Some of them are struggling, but DracKeN's been exciting so far. Now, of course, remember I said that he needed to mill the shorefish? Of course he goes for the berries. So I think if he goes... Ooh, double mill's interesting. I think his uptime is still going to be like 22 pop timing. Maybe 23 pop. Like, this food just simply doesn't make that much of a difference if you're just now taking it. And this might lead to a situation where he has a ton of food when he arrives to feudal, as opposed to bringing in the food faster to get to feudal faster, if that makes sense. I mean, it's not bad. It's not going to be bad, but it's not going to be like the crazy 19 population uptime or 20 population uptime that I've seen some people test out. He did beat Leary on Arena. No, I said Arabia. At least in my head, I said Arabia. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I got that wrong. All right, so MbL probably going to play into something like Man-at-Arms. Looks like MbL is going to move forward to take this wood line, which is not something you see players do every day. This is very exposed, obviously, but it's your best wood line. And DracKeN has those options as well. It may be a little bit more exposed for him, but I could see a lumber camp there if he really wanted to take the risk. And yeah, this is more of your standard uptime from DracKeN, but it's also the same for MbL. And MbL also didn't take the shorefish, which is just so uncommon for this map. But it's still an option. Now, if MbL just straight up doesn't take it, I have to question that heavily. Also, I think when you make this mining camp, if you're MbL, you want to make it between the stone and the gold. Because if you ever want stone... What's the difference, bro? Yeah, there we go. You know, sometimes we laugh and make jokes in Loyal the Legends. with mining camps that are between stone and gold. But we make those jokes if you placing it between a stone and a gold makes the gold less efficient. But the gold is actually going to be just as efficient as you would have otherwise, and you could still take the stone efficiently too. So that's a really good camp there for MbL. And DracKeN going for some crazy walls over here. Very late scouting of MbL's base, but he wants the wall to the edge. And is MbL really just going to open up here with, like, archers against Chinese? I'm very surprised. I'm personally not in love with this, but it is MbL, right? And, you know, Mayans Chinese is normally seen as a very even matchup as the game progresses. It's a weird capture age thing, man. So when MbL advances, I just hear the little... I don't know how you describe that noise when someone advances up, but you hear that. When DracKeN advances, there's a 5 there, which is his color in game. I've had to change the color. You can see his color 5. And it's like a chat message, which is super weird because you hear the little doom. That's happened in both games so far, and I just now picked up on that. Okay, let's see if DracKeN's used to this. DracKeN. Oh! Well, okay, that's just honestly really sloppy from him, but he gets away with it there. He would have lost the scout, I think, with how late he reacted. But MbL with the misplay loses his eagle. Scout's still alive now for DracKeN. And DracKeN, I mean, he's going to build up towards archers here in eco. There's been no early pressure from MbL whatsoever. Again, normally you're going to see like the militia or the man-at-arms. MbL doesn't even have any eco upgrades now. I wonder if maybe he's a little bit rattled after that first game, right? I don't think MbL played bad the first game. But DracKeN's playing towards eco upgrades. He's even going to tower his gold here. He's going to have his range. MbL will have no scouting on this and no easy way to do any damage here. And again, you know, like, a big part of the reason it bothers me is because we scripted the map this way and everyone else has been taking advantage of it. But, like, if we're talking Castle Age times, we're now talking Chinese farms with horse color. DracKeN just got housed and he's getting wheelbarrow super early. And then you also have all that 400 food that came in from the shorefish to give you a boost, plus the berries, right? I'm not a big fan of skirm opening, unless you follow it up with archers here if you're DracKeN, though. Because MbL is just going to take this invitation to try and, like, get up and go for a lot of eagles. And eagle, spearman, monk is a big thing that a lot of players do against the Chinese. More so because that's, like, one of the best plays you can go all-in aggressive. Like, DracKeN's got the golds. You would expect that he's also going to make a couple archers here. And MbL's just got eagles in the queue. And MbL's resources, for as annoyed as I've been about the fact that he's not taking his shorefish, it's actually still looking really clean. But it's the long run, right? Like, those are the things you think about. The eco upgrades going forward in the long run. MbL wants to tower this gold. And here he comes. Interesting. I mean, this is the thing with preemptive towers, guys. We don't see towering that frequently because it's not very meta thing in 2023, which I honestly find is a little disappointing. I'm just going to say it. I feel like towers are really good positionally and fun things to talk about. But anyways, MbL says, oh, okay, you've preemptively towered your gold. That's funny. Because your tower's not going to be able to do anything about my tower. Because I'm going to place the perfect tower just out of range. DracKeN also has really cut army production here. Like, he was not producing out of this range. He does get fletching. And here he moves in with some skirms. But, I mean, he's going to need some walls here. And let's see how he defends from this. Now, he could shoot MbL's tower down. But MbL could always do, you know, a similar thing. And MbL going to place another tower here. Dang. I like this from MbL. He's like, he noticed his opponent is walled. And he knows that if this game just continues and progresses towards Castle Age, that DracKeN could maybe be in a better position. So he says, I'm not going to allow it to be this type of game. So he puts 4 archers inside of this tower. He's distracting the tower fire from his opponent with his eagles. He's got 2 towers now to fire on 1 tower. And DracKeN now doesn't have gold access. And DracKeN's going to lose that tower. Dang. Crazy from MbL. I love that. And again, he might not have taken the shorefish, but his eco is still looking really good. He also is utilizing the mining camp, too. That's the exciting thing, is it's so easy for him to use the same mining camp for the stone and gold. DracKeN's going to try and click up to Castle Age here, and I'm sure he's going to do that just fine. He will click up any moment, and MbL also does. MbL on 5 eagles right now. He's got 2 more on the way. And honestly, maybe this isn't the right play, but if I'm MbL and I'm going to take this gold, I make my next tower here. Make a tower here and then take the gold. Because at least then you've got a little bit more coverage over the front of your opponent's base if you're going to siege pressure. But also, just in case you need to hide, right? And what better time to make it now? I mean, if your opponent has knights, then you're not going to be able to spend it. Great work from MbL here. And there's no hole over here. I know you guys might be thinking there is. There's no hole. MbL with double barracks. Eagle spam. He's going to turn that into some monks as well. And what? Bro! DracKeN sneaking out. He had scouted this before. Now, MbL doesn't actually know if his opponent has a gold in the back. So it's a good possibility that if he starts to see gold units, he just thinks his opponent has a gold back here. But if you've prepared and you know the map, you should know there's a 4-tile gold and a 3-tile gold for each player. So for MbL, there's 3 tiles, and then here there's 4 tiles. So if you're thinking about that, which I honestly don't think he would do on this map because he doesn't play it as frequently, then you should have some type of an idea. And then if you see knights, you should start looking around. Anyways, both players hit the Castle Age. Now, the awkward thing for DracKeN is he does kind of need to defend his villagers here. Like, he now has knight production on the side. I like the gold income being on the side, but I'm not sure I actually like... Oh! Yeah, this is just a big problem now. And just a little late to pull the villagers there. Now MbL is going to have Eagle Warriors in. Not just Eagle Scouts, Eagle Warriors as he upgrades them. So DracKeN might be forced into buying some stone here. Just to panic a TC in the back of his base. And no, he's just going to run. He's trying to. I think he actually deleted... Oh no, there is a hole. MbL's going to be so confused. MbL's going to be so confused when he gets back here. He's like, where are all the bills? I thought you had an economy back here. Still a really good situation for MbL. Like, those villagers running right now, still not collecting resources. MbL has been able to do a bit of damage here. But this is funny, man. And oh my god, the knights made it into MbL's base, and he had to quick wall, panic wall here. He's got a knight over on this side. Holy crap. Oh, man. And that gate could open, too. This is... Oh, jeez. This is so bad for MbL right now. Good damage control from him. He did lose his eagles there. DracKeN's got a lot of idle time. Both economies are actually all out of whack at the moment. And MbL had sent an eagle over here. There's a lot that I wanted to talk about at the same time. So he knows that there's at least the stables over there. And he has to imagine maybe the gold is there, too. But, like, look at this. You send your villagers back to work. MbL's on the prowl. MbL is able to get a TC up on this hill, which gives him safe wood control. The gold is still protected. And a couple villagers exposed there. He will lose 1. And he's killed 2 in total. This is crazy. DracKeN still has more knights on the way, though. And MbL still has more eagles. So both players have done a good job there. But, oh, man. MbL's got villagers so exposed. Look at DracKeN with the blocking here. He'll kill more villagers. Oh, this is so good from him. And pulls away from that TC fire. Let's see his reaction time here. I think 2 knights coming home for DracKeN would make a whole lot of sense. And then you could even send them underneath the gold there. But he's so focused here on this, and it's understandable that he is. And MbL gets some revenge, kills the villager there. This is crazy, man. There's still a hole here, by the way. So all the knights could group up and come in together. Not a fight that MbL should be taking here. And MbL could even lose his barracks soon, which is what DracKEN's thinking of. And yeah, now the knights are coming home. MbL does get here. DracKEN notices it, though. So MbL should now know that that's where the majority of DracKeN's eco is otherwise. Great job from MbL to, as he took maybe an unreasonable fight here, but he's still keeping his eagles alive here. A good job from him finding that. Eventually, though, he's going to need more access to gold, and he's going to have to leave his base for that. This game is just wild, man. And DracKeN's finding the Vil kills. Not the Vil pills. I don't think the Vils need pills, but maybe MbL's will. Maybe he needs painkillers after all this. Oh my goodness. I guess they're dying, so you don't need to give painkillers to a dead villager, but... I mean, DracKeN's not booming, guys. He's still got this TC, but he will clear this up now. And he's still got this massive army in MbL's base. 29 kills and 12 deaths from DracKeN, the promoted player. He's somehow still behind in villagers, which is a crazy stat. And again, it is MbL, right? Like, and if MbL gets a couple knight conversions, you never know. MbL's been producing Vils in the middle area, which DracKeN doesn't seem to really know about. But God, like, MbL can't... He doesn't know where to send villagers from this TC. That's the problem. Is he's creating Vils and they have nowhere to go. Now, I think it's... I wonder if it's worth it. I think it is absolutely worth it to take out these towers now, your DracKeN. He's trying to kill the monks. MbL inside the TC now with the monk. The DracKeN's got a lot of weak knights around. So there's pikemen now for MbL. DracKeN's going to mix in siege, but he doesn't have it all together right now. MbL maybe holding on here. Oh, but the knights are going to get through! He didn't get the repairs down in the house. This is crazy. And DracKeN just continues to dive because he figures that MbL's economy is so bad. He actually thinks this is MbL's only economy. He doesn't know MbL has the middle economy. But killing the monk there is really valuable. And now MbL doesn't have gold income. And if you don't have gold income, you can't make monks. DracKeN can absolutely do this. He is going to need access to the gold at his base soon because he's almost out of the side gold. But what a crazy play from him. I guess MbL doesn't need gold to make pikemen, so there is that. And MbL's monk hops inside the TC. Nice save. DracKeN killing off some of the pikes. Man, he's got weak knights, though. He's got so many weak knights. Oh, God. MbL's still in this, especially if he converts a knight or two knights and takes out the mangonel too. It doesn't actually take out any or convert any knights there, but he still has his monks alive. This is ridiculous. 42 villagers versus 35. MbL is still alive. And he can get back on gold. I think DracKeN's like, okay, what's happening here? What can I focus on next? From what he can see, MbL's like dead. He's probably starting to look. He's like, okay, he was on wood there. We haven't checked that in a while. Where do we go? He's actually going to end up sending his knights home now just to clear up those towers. Again, he needs that gold. Buying and selling some resources. I think he wants to drop a town center. I think dropping a town center around here would be really valuable. Or here, actually, because your villagers are exposed. And yeah, that actually makes the most sense for your first TC, or I guess second TC, but the first one he's built in Castle Age. And he's going to go light cav, which I can understand because he's thinking MbL will go monk defense. But MbL is actually going primarily pikemen, and this is a concern for DracKeN because you would want to have a mix of scorpions too. He's going to let the skirmishers kill the tower. Come on, knights, let us do something. Oh, no! Come on, it's 1 HP. That's funny. He didn't even know. Bonk. Didn't even hear the noise. Now, MbL's really good with monks. And if he converts any knights, he can then use those knights against any siege that DracKeN adds. And DracKeN's 2 TCs. His economy is certainly better than MbL's. It's not that much better, especially when you factor in MbL's army right now. And how exposed everything is, too. Like, if you don't have army control, you're going to have big, big problems. This is probably where we're going to see the Scorpion edition from DracKeN. But again, it is from the side siege workshop. I think DracKeN taking out the house from MbL is valuable because MbL doesn't have vision on it. But, excuse me, that's the logic anyways. But he does have vision on it from the mining camp. So he just heads right to the gold. And so DracKeN, like, he kind of has the army lead, but he just can't figure out where to hit right now. And MbL is just going to go back and make another tower here. Great quick walls there. This is the worst feeling if you're DracKeN, where you just realize your army's completely out of position. He does know about the stone here, guys. He's going to TC that. He doesn't know about that gold. That would be so nice for him. It's really the gold that he needs right now. And these villagers should definitely get out of here. And that, what a great decision from MbL, the tower. I love it. That's a wonderful move. Lightcav here, go for a villager pick. Gets the villager pick, but I mean, those Lightcav, not going to get much value there. So both players could have pretty interesting castle timing, I think. Not castle age, but a castle drop timing. And DracKeN should be... Yeah. He should be thinking about the other golds. He actually has scouted a lot of the map, which has really been the key for him this game. Like, look at MbL's scouting. MbL's scouting hasn't been bad. But DracKeN's going to get this gold now. Something that MbL had vision on, but never really sent anything over there to deny. And DracKeN expanding his farms to the left. MbL sending his units there. The army for DracKeN just still, like, avoiding the middle, scared to lose knights. The presence of monks, man, it just does something to you. 66 villagers for DracKeN, but MbL's army is really hard to stop right now. And it's much easier to make, too. At least in some ways, and clearly pikemen are killing farmers. This is a pretty messy game. A couple Lightcav attacking villagers here, though. That's not too bad. Not too great either. In the end, at the end of the day, MbL will actually complete his TC on that gold. And DracKeN's going to, delete those farms so those villagers don't get picked off. And he's going to just try and push MbL's main eco. But MbL's got pikemen and monks here. And he's got towers all along the middle. This is a really unique game. This game is awesome. And no, you can never take this fight. Oh, I'd be panicking so hard right now if I was DracKeN. Oh, man. The thing is, like, Scorpions aren't that good against Eagles either. So you really need knight upgrades and knight numbers with the Scorpions. Probably just a castle at this point. But, like, where do you even castle? You castle it right here to protect these units? And the plus side for DracKeN, if he loops over this way, he might end up seeing the gold. So he knows about that for later. But again, he does have gold access right now. And here he goes, guys. He's actually researched crossbow. Oh, I love it. He's under pressure. He knows this could be an issue. MbL's dropping towers, so he's going to drop towers too. But, oh, DracKeN. Oh, no. Oh, no way. That castle spot's epic. Oh, and it would give him access to the gold as well. And here we have a big moment. So the towers need to be garrisoned. MbL's diving with a lot of his force here. Just so DracKeN can't complete that tower. If DracKeN were to attack anything here, it could alert MbL. But MbL's army's over here. This is a crazy game, man. There's not enough room in this TC for all the villagers. Wild. But now, the castle goes up. And this is horrible for MbL. Your opponent can take gold here. He can take wood. And I don't think MbL's realized it yet. But how do you stop it? Obviously, the knights could always run over to the castle. DracKeN needs to do that. DracKeN needs to do that. Bad position for DracKeN. MbL with house walls to block the pathing. The whole army could get trapped. Half of it dies. But, you know, you've got a couple crossbowmen now. A crossbowman suddenly feeling a lot better with a lot of pikemen out here. And this is ridiculous, man. So, you know, the first game was a really good game. And the first game was along the lines of some crazy things we've seen before in Titans League. But I will say this right now. First game probably won't hit the main channel of YouTube. The main channel of YouTube, I already have this stuff. This will be edited in, most likely, from Hardy later on. But I'm just going to encourage you, as MbL has to go for the craziest little house walls here, you absolutely need to make sure you check out the full series, too, in the description. This is a crazy game, man. This game has been so all over the place. MbL lost a lot of his army here, and he's slowly losing control of that hill, though. And DracKeN's building up for another castle. He's still got stone income. Will DracKeN flee here? He will. Take some losses, obviously. But how DracKeN, with all that exposed stone and gold in the front, has been able to play this game has just been so impressive for me. 31 on food for him. 95 villagers. And we're going to see castle number 2 here. And this honestly might lead to MbL tapping out. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. The castles are kissing, man. The castles are kissing. You need to YOLO all your villagers here if you're both players. You can't be the one that gets your castle up second here. Especially if you're DracKeN. And he just doesn't seem to realize it. Oh, man, this gets interesting. MbL is going to use his monk. So he kind of half converts his villagers. Just keeps bopping them for a second. But they don't truly go for any conversions. That stops them from building. MbL with a couple converted knights in the back. Harassing DracKeN. Was over here harassing DracKeN. This was all at the same time. Now I think the natural move for DracKeN, you know, with all that, is you drop the castle here. But he actually is choosing to drop the castle here. I don't like that move, actually. I really think that placing a defensive castle is good for MbL. I think an offensive castle here would have been my preferred position. But it does give you some safe access to gold, which is a big, big thing here. In fact, for MbL, he's got all of his gold miners here. Where does he take gold? I guess there. That was also, like, part of my thinking, right? Look at how many villagers MbL is picking off in random spots, by the way. They picked off some villagers here. Idle time over here. Idle time's been nuts for both players. Multitasking has been needed. More villagers dying over here as well. And MbL knows about the gold. Dang. I'm still thinking, like, if MbL could maybe get a couple more defensive castles, he's got a shot. DracKeN's still not really... Like, it's double tower defense here. He's still not really able to get damage done. He feels like he has to. He will drop a town center there. It is interesting, though, how DracKeN continues to, like, run in underneath that gold. He's still gotten a valuable number of kills there. I'll say that much. Okay, so DracKeN making Chukunu now. Again, he's just completely forgotten the fact he doesn't have Bodkinero, which would be so helpful. But, guys, how does MbL stop Chukunu? Chukunu aren't the craziest Castle Age unit ever, but they do have 8 attack. And Ballistics is in. So 8 base attack is very nice. And DracKeN, again, has so much vision on the golds on the right side. So he could maybe build outposts over there or just keep vision on it with his army. But then also, he's already kind of taking all the gold on that left side. Maybe MbL could consider some plumed archers. I wouldn't mind that too much. But he's got so many barracks now. He's committed to it with upgrades too. So makes sense that he continue. And DracKeN will place his next castle here. So this is kind of like fully surrounding MbL in the middle. But if MbL can go Imperial Age with that one castle and start making trebs, maybe, just maybe, he's got a chance. He did lose a couple more villagers over here. DracKeN's food eco is solid, but it's not incredible. And he will see that monk. Again, both players playing out of their minds. Very well played from DracKeN. DracKeN's producing villagers out of all these TCs, so there's no way that Imp is going to be coming in for him. Whereas for MbL, he's intentionally stopped producing. MbL knows, my only way winning this game now is through trebuchets in the middle. But like, I feel like MbL is going to lose so much access to resources here and like here. And I mean, he's got the gold, but he might need wood next. Even a tower from DracKeN. Would love to see the guard tower upgrade. Yeah, there it is. I like it. You already have so many towers, it's worth it. And he says, MbL, I'm going to tower you with 2 towers, just like you did to me. Dang. No Bodkin brings me so much pain. I mean, it helps everything that DracKeN's making. If DracKeN loses this game, we might look back at missing that upgrade as being a big factor here. But I mean, it feels like the 2 towers could eventually complete here. And he will get more access to gold there. And DracKeN now using the market to balance out this wild, messy game. Because he just wants Imp himself. And he's got so many castles, so he can lose 1 or 2 and still make trebs. And DracKeN does click up to Imp. And again, this is just a complete underdog story. And a messy, ridiculous game. But the thing that excites me the most about how this played out is DracKeN's creativity. Like, MbL had done such a good job to get a position that would normally always give you a victory because gold is such an important resource. And DracKeN's creativity to scout the map and sneak out the sides and kind of hide how he did it, which I can talk about, is just so epic. He's almost got too many TCs, so expect him to forget some of them every once in a while, but he does react there. Now, what's going to happen here is DracKeN's going to go to get Bracer. And he's going to say, oh, crap, I didn't have Bodkin Arrow. Like, he has no reason to look to his Blacksmith right now in his mind until he has to get Bracer. Oh, never mind. Or he's just getting it now. MbL can make Trebs, and MbL is making Eagles. And Eagles can be really good against Archer units. But we're talking, like, more Eagles in general, but also getting Elite Eagle. And I just don't know if that's doable for MbL. Look at his economy. Completely surrounded right now. He's going to have so many different areas to try and raid his opponent too. It feels like he's heading desperately over to this gold. DracKeN, maybe even intentionally, has just been shifting units around and just guarding these resources. MbL's desperation won't work out there. DracKeN will head to this gold too. He also brings a unit, so he's like, oh, there might actually be something over there from MbL, so let's just guard that. And then Treb number 1 comes out here for MbL. And he's going to have Treb number 2 and 3. As DracKeN's going to plan to shift back into Knights here. Now, no stone income for DracKeN anymore. Both players have mined a lot of stone this game. So he won't actually be able to keep this up. But what he will do is he can make Trebs from the other areas. It actually doesn't even seem like he's that interested in Trebs. It seems like he's just interested in upgrading his army. Which is one way to do it. I mean, even if MbL just stays in the middle hill. It is pretty cool, you know, that he's like hill defense here. But he's lost or will lose access to almost every single other resource here. Look at the idle time for both players. How crazy has this game been? Look, we've got Knights headed in. These will be Cavalier. MbL is going to try and tread back this way. This is where DracKeN will probably wait with Knights. DracKEN's still kind of struggling to know where to put his Shukanu to good use. It looks like he'll just loop them back over here to this area as well. And MbL could lose his TC here to Cavalier in a moment, which will lead to 15 villagers dying. And this tower will go down for MbL. MbL now going for this castle. And yeah, this is where DracKEN, who's at 200 pop, guys, just needs to come deal with these Trebs, and he's won this game. Dang. DracKEN's impressive, man. I mean, this game was sick. How many times you see a guy lose access to those resources and somehow be able to get away with it against a player like MbL, right? It feels like once MbL has vision on you, once he denies your gold, you're just going to be reacting to him. And MbL's an established pro. He's done some crazy things. I think he'd be in everyone's top 10, regardless of the shape he's in. He's got Elite Eagle now. He doesn't have a lot of gold access. Let's see if these things work out. In an ideal world with the Mayans, you want to have El Dorado for the HP, and then definitely the final armor upgrade. MbL's going to find it difficult to hit these Shukanu. Look at that stack. That's one of the more frustrating things to face up against in this game, is when someone stacks their range units like that in a choke. So those Eagles will die. The Cavalier are here. There's more Chukunu. MbL's Trebs have nowhere to go. And MbL taps out. This game was crazy, guys. And it's also really crazy. If you really care and have really been following Titans League Season 2 and the standings in this group, again, I encourage people later on YouTube to check out the overall table. I kind of talk through some of those things. But this game in and of itself was just a beaut. A beautiful game. Let's go back. Okay, so like it was panic time for DracKeN. And I think a lot of people, when they lose access to their gold, where was it? Let's say here. Okay. A lot of people, when they lose access to their gold here, this is what they do. So they build up stables. And when I say a lot of people, 99% of players who've ever been in and around the top 200. Okay. So you make your 2 stables at home. And you think, okay, the first thing I have to do in the next stage, the first thing is I have to address this. And so then when MbL does, is he's like, oh, great. Yeah, he's going to address this, obviously. So I got to make Eagles and some Siege, some Monks there maybe, and just continue to push. Even if he clears this up, I never get hit at my base. He's always, you know, trying to deal with my towers. And then the rest of the game is easier for me. But DracKeN says, actually, maybe I can get away with it. So he just deletes his walls and sneaks out with 11 vills. Made both of his stables forward. Made it super messy attacking MbL. In the end, you know, then MbL couldn't focus on the push that much. And then he had to go back here and DracKeN was able to kill the towers. DracKeN's economy was really clean this game, too. I mean, I'm just really impressed with this guy. But it's funny to me that he left with so many villagers once MbL ran in. Like, the real downside was he didn't have anything at home. And then credit to MbL. It's not like he never knew about that. MbL soon after that, when he got an opportunity, looped an eagle in. Somewhere in here as I'm going back. Like, MbL did look. Almost like right now, he's taking a look, seeing if that was a possibility. Maybe it was when the night started to come in. But Kilimanjaro is a messy map. And it's an open, aggressive map, which is just not the type of map that, you know, DracKeN is seen as preferring. But he made it look very good here. Somehow boomed up to 114 villagers and had lots of kills throughout the game. Great job. That's a really fun Kilimanjaro game right there. And yeah, just massive resource difference. 57,000 resources versus 37,000 resources. Importance of scouting, guys. But not just the importance of scouting this game. The importance of creativity. And just not staying within a certain structure just because it's the simpler thing to do. Love to see it. And here we are, game 3. And this is just not the situation that we expected to find ourselves in. We thought that, you know, if we got to game 3, you know, we would have maybe already have seen Arena because it's DracKeN's home map. And we would have expected DracKeN to maybe lose game 1. And then we have Arena game 2. And then we have game 3 Kilimanjaro. But no. DracKeN's home map saved to the very end because he's up 2-0 here over MbL. And there's a real possibility that this could be a 3-0 for DracKeN, guys. Which for him means he's not completely out. He's not completely safe. But he's most likely safe, and he will most likely not be relegated out of the Group B. But then to make things even crazier, you look at MbL's position, and you start to think, holy crap, MbL still has to play Yo, Leary, and then Backed. And if you consider Yo and Leary the possible favorites there, Backed, you know, he'd come out of retirement, so maybe he's in better shape come the later weeks. Like, woo, there's just a lot of things. Now, I'm going to do the same thing I have been doing. I think later on we could possibly... Actually, this is a test. Let's see. I might get a message from Hardy about this in a couple days when we're going to put this up on YouTube. Hardy, could we maybe bring up the draft? Just like a tiny little... This is so stupid. I should be saying this to him, you know, when I'm not casting. But I think, like, just bring up the draft, like, here-ish at the top right. And let's just show what the draft looked like. So, DracKeN... He had, you know, drafted heavily for the previous game, which he ended up winning. But MbL, he had some interesting picks on there. He picked Turks first, which is what I really wanted to show. And I think MbL thought that the final pick of DracKeN being Britons was a concern for him. And so he was like, how do I counter the Britons? He correctly expected the Britons, and he's trying Gurjaris. What do you guys think, Gurjaris versus Britons? My opinion with Britons on Arena is that if you just commit heavily to the boom, if you just take advantage of the cheap TCs, it's very hard to stop them with any civilization. Yeah, we've had a few people bring up the draft thing, and I think it'd be better if we incorporate it into the start, but that's just a test, and we'll see if maybe it gets there. I'll probably completely forget I just did that. So people who watch the videos later, give Hardy a shout out for adding it in there. But here's the thing about ignoring the relics with Britons, which I absolutely think is a fine move, Fire Nitro. Because you can get such a big villager lead. The thing is, you probably don't want to invite MbL to Mangonel pressure you. So maybe just because you don't want to give up full map control against MbL, and you want to almost protect your ability to boom, maybe you do also go for map control in some way. What people have done in the past with Britons is they go like 20. Ooh, this villagers could be kind of in jeopardy. Let's see if he tries the TC trick. I don't TC trick it if my villagers this week, because it's gonna get... Oh boy, yeah, you see what I mean? Like the okay, yeah. Sometimes I panic and I send too many villagers in the TC and kill the boar with my TC, or I'm still waiting for the proper amount of hits, and then the boar kills my villager before, you know, the boar's killed. But But yeah, I could easily see DracKeN going for an archery range opening and going spearman crossbow. Oh, whoa. MbL's gonna rush. Oh, wow. This is so... Well, actually, hold on. It's not a rush. False alarm, actually. This is fast feudal into eco upgrades from MbL. If it is a rush, I think is the worst possible move you could go for. Remember, Arena Stonewalls in this tournament have 1800 HP. So if you play Arena on ladder, they have 1080 HP, so rushing is kind of possible. But I think this is a build order from MbL, which he feels is strong with the Gurjaras. And yeah, this is... Wow, this is crazy. I'm personally not the biggest fan of it. But I'd be curious to see what his uptime ends up looking like. Because this is a build order you've seen with, like, Slavs in the past, because their farms farm fast. Malay, because they advance up faster through the next age. I just don't know if this necessarily plays towards your bonuses, but I don't know what his Castle Age time will be, so we'll see. When he makes it to Castle Age, he's going to have a ton of resources to work with. I can tell you that much. You ready to see DracKeN freak out with this scout? He's heading forward. Watch where he goes after seeing that. It's the right play. It's not cowardly. It's not a bad decision. But I just knew that he was just going to be like, ah, you know, and be like, what? Because you do not want to be out there if the feudal age scout is out there with more attack and more HP. Or no, it's not more HP. Sorry, it'd be more speed. And in this case, it's even a camel scout, which does bonus damage, so it'd be even worse. All right, so DracKeN's build order is standard. This is about as standard as it gets for a boom build. He has not added a barracks. He's going up 24 population. 3 Dark Age farms is what you typically see. You'll see a blacksmith market. There might be a world where he has to, like, sell some wood or something. He's going to go blacksmith, and he's going to drop the market. I don't love this market position because it kind of affects the booming here. In fact, I hate that market position, but he would have probably made it with his gold miners if he had the gold, but he didn't want to do that because he doesn't have the gold just yet. That camel scout is really interesting aspect of this whole thing. That would be a way to get an edge in the scout war when fighting for relics in a normal game. All right, so the name of the game here is, what is MbL's castle time going to look like? And what's he going to do on the back of it? I could definitely see MbL turning this into, like, all-in pressure with Gurjara elephants or something. Stable, market. Is he going to sell a stone? I think he's going to sell a stone here. No? Okay. Again, it's not going to be a bad Castle Age time, but it's just not going to be a Castle Age time that would be... It's not going to be as good as your standard play. And it's just... It would have been possible, I think. I mean, maybe Fast Castle is just awkward for him with the Gurjaras. He hasn't done it a lot because you put the sheep inside the mill. That's a fair point. Like, I actually haven't tested many Gurjara Fast Castle plays. But I know Britons are strong, man. MbL's still just farming away, waiting for the resources. And he will click up pretty soon here. He's probably going to drop off his food. He's going to click up. And not flawless from MbL, but he will be up at a reasonable time. And like I said, now look at the farm count. He's got 12 farms with horse collar. So his food income is going to be crazy. So if he wants to make scouts for map control, he could easily do that. DracKeN's going to open with a monastery, and he's going to drop a town center. And probably more town centers after that. So he's not just going straight for TC boom, which is what I'd said originally, but because the town centers are so freaking cheap with this civ, he's able to drop 2 immediately with the monastery. No other civ can really do that. Power of the Britons. I can't remember where I saw it, but you can 22 plus 2 with Gurjara for like a 13-10 total time or something like that. Okay. Probably using the market a bit. But MbL, I mean, that was all part of his plan to do the feudal build, because he was even super late with pushing in his deer. Yeah, it's not going to be horrible. But from high-level arena standards, it is later than you would normally want. I like how MbL is not using the Camel Scout to attack the walls. The last thing he would want here is to lose the Camel Scout to a conversion. He's attacking DracKeN's walls, expecting DracKeN to boom. And now you've got a monk there, and MbL's like, oh, okay. I don't know. I've never been a big fan of adding the monastery. Just go 4 TCs instantly, get a massive Vil lead. He's already going to have a nice Vil lead. There's no way you're just going to be able to send out the monks and grab relics if the player is playing competently. MbL wants to go siege, guys. Because he doesn't want blacksmith upgrades. He just was like, crap, I don't have a blacksmith. I can't make a siege workshop. DracKeN's trying to kill that scout right now. He's being very bold. I think it's a mistake to do that. And MbL needs to stop blocking here. Or actually, he's going to start blocking. He's going to try and block in front. Wow, it's good from DracKeN, though. He now knows his opponent's gone for the monks in the middle. That normally means siege is coming as well. DracKeN, no conversion. Adds the siege workshop, which feels like the correct play. T90, what do Gurjaras do to counter longbow /halb/treb? Yeah, I honestly don't think they have a lot for it. On an open map, Gurjaras are more solid because they can use the Shravamsha Rider mobility. But on this map, you don't really have that. And DracKeN still really wants to kill that weak scout in there. It's crazy. So do I not have market events on? Oh, I do. Okay, so he just has a good, well-balanced economy. Now, it's not going to be full all-in from MbL. Well, he's adding an armored elephant. And armored elephants for the Gurjaras do more damage. So all the mounted units for Gurjaras do 30% more damage in Castle Age. So these elephants are absolutely insane. I mean, my opinions are less harsh about the Gurjaras these days. Let's be honest. I think they're at a slightly better spot. I'm kind of excited to see that they're not just winning every single matchup anymore, like it seemed like when they were released. But these things, man, are still nuts. I have a couple videos on them. But adding that, going for the elephant, is not working because DracKeN scouted it, man. His scouting activity in this series and his decision-making because of the scouting has been so good. Still hasn't lost the scout, by the way, and did kill a villager there, as I'm sure you guys noticed. DracKeN, he's just going to lose the scout. Nothing happens. Oh, wow, scout gets converted. All right, so now you're in a Mangonel war with MbL. Well, probably the player with the best Mangonel micro in the game. So good luck there. But we do have barracks being added for DracKeN, so he's probably thinking about pikemen to take map control. The thing that's unique about these armored elephants is because they are a unit and not a siege unit. It can just be healed up, which is really beneficial to MbL. Now, Britons do not get redemption, but it's 65 villagers versus 48. I think the TC idle time will probably rise here for your DracKeN. That is fairly common at this stage because pikemen upgrade and then spamming them is just a little hard on the economy. DracKeN did get one relic, by the way. MbL adding a 4th and a 5th town center. Holy crap. If MbL loses map control, DracKeN's castle isn't going to be defensive. It's going to be in the middle of the map, and that could be kind of a problem. MbL adding a couple Shravamsha Riders. That's kind of an interesting addition here. I'm not sure exactly the benefit of adding them, but it is a really fast unit, and that could be part of it. And he will have 4 relics in the middle of the map. And DracKeN is over-investing into pikemen, you think? Why? From his perspective, he doesn't know how aggressive this is going to be from MbL. Now, he hasn't seen a ton of craziness. He hasn't seen the Lycav upgrade. So I think it's fair to assume that MbL is probably trying to catch up in the boom. But, like, I think this is a perfect investment because you can take the full map control, and that castle you're building up for could take the middle control. And this is great game sense from MbL. He recognizes that it is likely that he will lose access to the middle, so he is taking the relics home. Great decision from him. He's also choosing to make houses in the middle, which this is MbL we're talking about, so that'll always be interesting. But no, I think that the Pikeman edition's fine, and I think that it'll be really fun now to see how MbL's Mangonel micro is, because I think MbL's expecting it. MbL will kill a villager there. KD's 1-1 this game. MbL is 2 Mangonels. We'll probably consider some Scorpions here as well. We'll see. Here comes DracKeN. Now, MbL's booming too, so he's focusing more on that, but MbL's great with his Mangonels, as I've stated many times in the past. DracKeN, though, is going to get the better of the engagement, and this elephant's going to go down, and the villagers might start running out. You could easily see DracKeN drop that castle right next to all this. Look at MbL's panic right now. MbL's going to lose his Mangonel. He's got pikemen out in the field, and he only has stable units. He is going to want to complete his castle to secure this area, so he takes out that Mangonel. He goes here for the monks. We'll take out the monks maybe as well, but he's losing all of his scout control. And this is the perfect situation for DracKeN. Now, all you do, you don't even have to stop this castle. Obviously, that's great if you can, but you just plop your castle right next to all this, and you go imp. Yeah, just go imp. And MbL wasn't able to get away with all the relics here. You just drop the castle here, and then you trap all that down. And MbL's going to be, I think, sensing this. He's going to try and go imp himself. Oh, wow, that's interesting. DracKeN's going to build it further back. I think he was maybe thinking that that might give MbL an advantage in the Treb War. Very interesting decision. And MbL's like, I'm going to take these bad boys back home for now. So that's good for MbL. He's going to have at least 3 at home. And he's dropping stables now. I'm really curious on how this game develops with the Treb War, because for MbL, he actually has way more on stone. So I think I would have, like, my castle would have absolutely been here. But I think DracKeN is possibly calling this right, and he knows because he hasn't had as much on stone that this monk is going to try and run away, and we'll make it back home. That's a bit sloppy from DracKeN, but you know, like, DracKeN maybe correctly called that he was going to lose the Treb War. I don't know. And he's going to switch into some ranged units here. MbL added stables, which doesn't feel like the play when your opponent has pikemen, but he might not be expecting DracKeN to fully commit to them. MbL's going to add Shravamsha Riders, so expecting there to be archers. We've got some tink, 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 tink action here. And also petards from DracKeN, which makes me think he wants to bust into MbL's base. Seems a little ambitious. Just like a teensy little bit ambitious. Do you really want to raid with pikes? There's some chakrams from MbL too. You don't see these things as frequently with the Gujaras, but they are sick against pikemen. They also, they were already really, really strong, and didn't the devs boost their attack versus infantry recently? I think they did. Okay, so DracKeN hits imps, making a treb. MbL hasn't hit imp yet. We have crossbow on the way. Not sure if MbL spotted the petards. I'm not even sure what you do when you see the petards. MbL already has 2 castles. And this castle is definitely inviting. So he just goes for the trebs right away from them. The petards are going to make this interesting. Again, I'm not thinking the petards are going to be all that effective here. And DracKeN has another treb, and there's MbL. And MbL's like, what do I do? Army's running into my base. But you have TC fire. So, I mean, and I guess, like, if the army stands here, it's still really annoying. Again, I'm a little uncertain on this. I mean, I guess at the end of the day, there's just going to be Treb v Treb otherwise. MbL? Are you sure about this castle, bro? Hello? You might want to cancel that one there, my friends. It's maybe just a bait. The Trebs from DracKeN are going on this castle. MbL needs to delete this. What's happening? He does delete it, so he gets a lot of the stone back. I guess MbL actually can't take a lot of golds, right? He had a lot of villagers on that gold. And he hasn't been able to shift more over to this gold, so that's a big part of this. We just see Trebs from MbL. He's got 4. He's about to have 5. His castles aren't really in big jeopardy of going down. DracKeN's castle is more the one under threat. And yes, you do get Warwolf if you're the Britons, but you need your castles to be able to research that, don't you? As we see another castle here for DracKeN and another castle for MbL. He switched the position. He will lose that castle, though. Yeah, if I'm DracKeN, like, keep 2 or 3 crossbows here on no attack stance and don't put them in your control groups. Just camp that gold. Like, I think there's no real reason, besides, obviously, like, stress of the whole situation, to not always have 2 crossbowmen there. MbL's massing Shravamshas, and I don't think that DracKeN sees the stables. He sees one of them. So now he's actually in a position to add more pikes, and he's going to add more barracks too. MbL could lose another castle. The repairs on the Trebs are happening for DracKeN. He's got enough Trebs on that castle. He will actually take out the Mangonel as well. Mangonel will not take out a Treb, but it helps a little bit. DracKeN has tons of resources. He just needs to spend it to get pikemen here. Can he push MbL off of this area? Still a idle time for MbL. But MbL's got the Treb numbers. I don't know, DracKeN. I think the last thing he wants to do is back up, but that might actually be what he has to do. Then again, MbL is to back up with 2 of those. Repair villagers repairing. Pikemen on Trebs. Shravamsha riders are here. They're good against archers. They're not elite, and MbL's missing a ton of upgrades, though. Like, these are just Castle Age Shravamsha riders with 2 upgrades. Pikemen should be pretty good against them. Oh, God. Oh, God. There's so many horse bodies falling to the ground. And not many Trebs falling here. DracKeN, he clears up the Shravamshas. It was all that MbL had. He's trying to make a switch to Skirmishers now. But Skirmishers is just not going to work out. He's got all of his Trebs exposed to MbL. If he loses this castle, and he's so low on stone right now, he could lose all of his Trebs, and he could get 3-0'd by DracKeN, the promoted player from gold. And you've got pikes hitting the Trebs. The crossbows are still getting some excellent value here this game. They're now how? MbL's done. He is dead. The castle will fall. He will lose every single Treb. He will lose all these production buildings. And I do not see an easy way back. Granted, it is MbL. But with the way DracKeN has looked today and his level of production, he's always producing units. This is just a crazy, crazy upset. This is actually, I think it's a bigger upset than beating Winchester 2-1 at the start of Titans League in the first week. Crazy, man. So yeah, MbL's going to switch skirms, but I mean, Gurjara skirmishers have no crazy bonuses. Skirms have, you know, always shown to be kind of a bait against Britons as well, because Britons do have really good siege, and Britons outrange you so much, and dang, man. But after the 2-0, remember, we said that after the 2-0 situation coming into Game 3, we knew that this was DracKeN's best chance. A lot of people thought that DracKeN would get 1 win and that it would be on Arena. But we just didn't think that when Arena would come, that it would be 2-0 for DracKeN already. Yeah, like, MbL going Shravamshas, I think, was fine. But you could tell he was just under a lot of pressure, and in his mind, it was just win the Treb War and then adapt, because when he started to lose his castles, he panicked a bit. Just super late with the upgrades. But if you're ever super late with the upgrades, it's because of the stress and the timings. Like, having those relics, not near as important as having the rest of the gold. Whoa, I'm so sorry. I don't know why Capture Age does that. Having the rest of the golds and stones in the middle either, right? So for DracKeN, you take a deep breath here. You make sure you have all your upgrades. You maybe come forward with another castle and just continue to pressure. You don't have to do anything fancy. You just push up the gut all the time. And make sure MbL doesn't have a real chance to respond here. Dang. It's consistency that's needed in the league format, right? But I think you've got that motivation aspect as well. And, like, And I've covered every single set in Titans League that's happened so far in Platinum. And by the way, I'm committed to covering every single series. I will not miss a single Platinum series. It'll be crazy first week of February. Well, first 2 weeks of February, actually. Yeah, it's going to be a lot. But I've decided to cover every single one. And when I've covered DracKeN, his preparation's always been so good, man. He like never really goes into a map with bad strategy. And he seems super motivated. And remember, he messaged me after... a lot of you guys might not know this. So he messaged me after I did... or after the first season of Gold. Because in my prediction video for the first season of Gold, I had DracKeN being in 5th place. And he was 1st place. And it was like the... and I took that personally. Michael Jordan meme. And I didn't know that he was going to take it so personal. That he was going to... do this once he made it into Platinum. Bro. Oh my god. I mean, MbL is going to have Elite Travamsha now. Good time for Ballistics DracKeN. There you go. But he's got Onager with the Arbs and the Halbs. He'll fully upgraded Halbs. Still catching up on the Archers, of course. MbL just probably staring at his screen in disbelief. He's got one more chance, but the thing is he doesn't have castles, so you can't push back the castles without siege. And siege elephant's really not an option when there's this many pointy boys around. If MbL had 4 trebs, I think there's a slight potential for a comeback. You know, if he had like a ram push over here. I don't know if he's forgotten these units or what. But like some type of raid here to distract DracKeN as he pushed in the middle. Then maybe. So he's still trying to think about it, trying to find a way. But I mean, this is just... It is funny. Travamsha's actually dodged Onager shots, so they're taking no damage to an Onager, which is funny. But yeah, I don't see a way back. Loses access to his relics, obviously, so that was like the one positive for MbL that he had over DracKeN here. But DracKeN even gets fortified wall. I mean, why not? If you throw from here, people would meme you for ages. You're DracKeN. And he's going elite longbow. Like, he's not even making longbows. He knows he's got this game. He knows there should be no way to lose this one. Crazy, crazy, crazy. And again, like, you remember the Pikeman edition? I felt like him coming to the middle of the map to drop his castles and being able to take some of these extra resources... it wasn't necessarily like the worst assessment ever from one of the viewers here. They said it was like over investing in the pikes. I just felt like it was the perfect timing. It made MbL panic. He had Imp right after he took the map control. Ultimately won, you know, the Treb engagement, or had the edge after the Treb engagement, which was nice. But MbL's going to get the relics back to this monastery, at least some of them. But I mean, again... What do you do? We're just going to see Onager now. This is very similar to what DracKeN had done to MbL in Game 1. Where he just went Cavalier after he had full gold control. The sheep! Take the sheep! Kill him! Send a message! I mean, you are Britain, so you might actually... I don't know. Do you take him now and him? MbL's forgot about the sheep. But no, it's completely unnecessary to add Cavalier at this point. The longbows... are going to hit from such a crazy distance, the skirms would just whittle away. And MbL won't be able to afford to make enough Travamshas. And MbL says GG, which is like good games. Or maybe he thought he mistyped it the first time. I don't know. It doesn't matter. DracKeN with the upset of Titans League Season 2. Crazy, crazy, crazy. And now, I think it's very fair to say that DracKEN's safe. As he has 6 wins after 4 rounds. It doesn't mean he is safe, necessarily. There is still a world where he gets relegated. But 6 wins after 4 rounds for DracKeN, with 1 more round to go, coming up against Backed. He's in a nice spot, okay? Now, for MbL, he is a little bit behind currently. We had some scheduling issues with some of his opponent. Now, I've heard that, like, yesterday or whatever... Oh, GZ is Gratz. Gotcha. Okay. So, anyways, apparently, I haven't spoken to JBR and I haven't spoken to MbL about it, but he might be even a little bit more delayed because of like a finger injury of sorts. I don't know how severe it is. But The good news for MbL is he still has 3 more rounds. But the bad news for MbL is those rounds are up against Leary, Yo, and then Backed. So, like, puts MbL, who won his group in the first season, under some pretty crazy pressure in those sets. And DracKen's just living the high life right now. So, great series. DracKEN was just in such good form today. Felt like every single game his macro was better. But, like, there were also just some crazy impressive displays in just different situations, man. Like, sure, the guy can play an arena. Great. We knew that. But game 1, his transitional play on a map that incorporated water. Game 2, not having access to gold and being able to think outside the box and somehow, you know, get that sneaky base and all that stuff against MbL, who's Mr. Chaos himself, is just impressive. Now, I think for MbL, the Gurjara thing is something that was a little untested here. But I think, again, the big reason that he tried Gurjaras is because he was scared of the matchup of having Turks versus the Britons. Because MbL had picked Turks first. DracKEN, at the very end of his draft, picked the Britons. And it really made MbL think twice. See that draft again? MbL never played Turks in this series. And DracKEN picked Britons late. So, again, you just got to say good preparation and then good drafting and strategy from the Czech Republic Pro. Who, again, isn't completely safe now, but if Dark and Backed don't have crazy results in their sets in Group B, DracKEN is not only completely safe, but he could possibly even be in the top 3 in the group and move on to the playoffs afterwards. So he's not just stopping here, man. Like, he just continues to prove everybody wrong. That's what the whole thing's about. GG.